Hello everyone and welcome to the weird, scary and horrible parts of humanity. Today we are looking into the murder of an LGBTQIA+ man, Kok Cheong, in the Disneyland of Asia, Singapore. His murder ultimately demonstrated the underlying homophobia within the country. Seen as the Disneyland of Asia, Singapore still has minimal LGBTQIA+ rights, despite some improvements, for instance the annual Pink Dot event taking place since 2009, some changes in attitudes and acceptance amongst the Singaporean community, as well as sexual activity being legal for women. It is still illegal for men to have sex together, with same-sex couples not recognised. Men can still face 2 years in prison and caning for homosexual sex, although this is rarely enforced by the Singaporean police force. It was in this environment that 54-year-old homosexual Kok Cheong found himself in 1993. A native of Singapore, Lee was an associate professor at the National University of Singapore's English Proficiency Unit. NSU is seen as one of the best universities in Asia and in the world, and is currently ranked by the 2021 QS World University Rankings as number 1 in the Asia region and number 11 in the world. He was seen as a caring teacher who extended this care to his nieces and nephews and siblings. However, he led a secret life as a closeted homosexual in a society where homosexuality was deeply taboo and illegal. He frequently seduced young gay men, including at least 8 undergraduate students, and at least 10 men he met outside of campus. While all his relationships were consensual, Lee acted as somewhat of a sugar daddy to his students, providing them with 2-week holidays to Europe costing approximately $10,000, which were frequented with Lee, a $300 pair of black Armani jeans, and an $800 Versace jacket. Colleagues were concerned about Lee's sexual activities with undergraduate students in a society where homosexuality was illegal. A former colleague told the Singaporean state-owned newspaper New Strait Times, under the condition of anonymity, "I was worried that the students would snitch on him, and also about these strangers he was making friends with. I always told him, 'Lee, you're too trusting. You should not think that everyone is a friend.'" Outside of the NUS campus, Lee frequently also picked up young men from the coffee shop at Block 25 on Dover Crescent in central Singapore, where he lavished them with delicacies including extra oysters. These young men ranged from durian sellers to karaoke lounge waiters to unemployed youths. In October 2003, he met 21-year-old Malaysian Tu Ying Xiong at the coffee shop, who was a business manager at a karaoke lounge. Lee gave him his number, and 3 weeks later invited Tu to his house on Greenleaf Place off Holland Road. It was alleged that while at his house, Lee showed Tu around and gave him a tour, particularly focusing on his Chinese antiques. Tu then alleged that Lee sat down close to him and began touching his body and thighs. It was at this point that Tu realised that Lee was a homosexual, with Lee attempting to engage in sexual intercourse. Tu then made an excuse and abruptly left. 2 weeks later, Tu mentioned this incident to his friends, who were both Malays, Kok Cheong, 23 years old, and Lee Ches Ki, 24 years old at the time. Lee Ches Ki then suggested robbing Lee. Tu had noticed the valuable antiques and believed that Lee was rich. It was then decided that Tu would arrange a meeting to introduce Lee Ches Ki to Lee and gain entry to his home. On the 12th of December 1993, the three went to Lee's house with the designated getaway driver. Lee Ches Ki and Tu then entered Lee's house and, while Lee was distracted, went into the kitchen, found some knives and a cord, tied him up, stabbed him and strangled him to death. The pair then ransacked his house, stole 7,300 Singaporean dollars and stole his POS bank ATM card, the free bought jewellery and clothes with his money. As Lee lived alone, his decomposing body was not discovered for 2 days. When found, he was in his master bedroom with his hands and legs bound and a pillow over his head. Stumped, the Singaporean police force were unable to solve the murder of Lee. However, following an anonymous tip-off 2 years later, police were able to make some progress and arrested 2 in Woodlands checkpoint on the 23rd of December 1997. Ng had escaped to his native Malaysia and was arrested by the Royal Malaysian Police in May 1998. Singapore's conservative media was divided and painted Lee as a criminal and a quasi-pedophile, noting in the Strait Times he led a promiscuous life and had affairs with several undergraduates, and included a picture of Lee with a young man who had a towel covering his waist. 2 was sentenced to death on the 28th of August 1998 and hanged in 1999. Ng was convicted of robbing Lee's home and sentenced to 8 years in jail and 10 strokes of the cane. Upon his release in October 2003, Ng returned to his native Malaysia. At the time, no one knew about Lee Chez Kee's identity, who went under the alias Kim Bay. Shortly after the murder, Lee Chez Kee had returned to Malaysia and in June 2005 was arrested by the Royal Malaysian Police for theft and jailed. On the 18th of February 2006, following his release from prison for theft, the Singaporean police force extradited Lee Chez Kee back to Singapore to face charges for the murder of Lee. Upon his return on the 19th of February 2006, Lee Chez Kee was charged in court and sentenced to death, with murder cases holding a mandatory death sentence on the 10th of October 2006. Throughout his trial, now aged 37, Lee Chez Kee maintained his innocence, stating that it was 2 who had murdered Lee. His appeal was dismissed on the 12th of May 2008, and he remains on death row. Thank you for watching. Please do yourself a favour and hit that like and subscribe button and the bell icon to inform you when new videos come out. It helps more than you know and your support is truly appreciated. You'll also be seeing 2 other videos for you to check out. Until next time, stay awesome, stay classy, be kind to everyone you meet, and have an amazing day.